Like you and I talk about every time, at the heart of this is a sex trafficking network that
Yes.
really expands around the globe. What you're saying is really concerning stuff. I mean, what was the most concerning thing to you that you saw in this in these unredacted files?
The most concerning thing was the clear effort to hide who was responsible for some of the most serious parts of the cover up. Um, like the document that I saw that had the private investigator's name, who seems to have been trying to assist with the cover up so that Jeffrey Epstein wouldn't be able to be held accountable. This is all alleged, but that's the problem: is that they've hidden this for so long and prevented the information from getting out. And now Pam Bondi, it's another question that I'm sure will be asked of her, is why have you been hiding all of this and covering up for Jeffrey Epstein and his crimes, and for people who covered up his crimes and allowed him to get away for so many years with sexual abuse and trafficking of young women? And there's over 1,000 women who deserve justice. And I mean, shame on Pam Bondi as a woman leader and the highest ranking law enforcement officer in the country for not being a champion of these survivors instead of continuing to victimize them.
Some people we've seen around the globe have faced consequences over their ties to Epstein. Some have not. Do you think
Right.
that we're any closer to revealing really the extent of Epstein's criminal network?
Well, I mean, there's millions of files, and there are many individuals going through them. It has begun to be revealed the extent of some people who are foreign citizens and their involvement, and it's appalling to me that there are leaders in other countries who are holding their their individuals who have been discovered to have really wildly inappropriate relationships with Jeffrey Epstein, even after he served in prison. I mean, excuse me, he really served jail time in the evenings and was allowed under the sweetheart deal to go to work every day. That they continued their relationships with him, but that the Justice Department under Pam Bondi and Donald Trump are refusing and have shut everything down, or saying no one else is going to be investigated. That's revolting. The message that sends not only to the survivors but to other criminal elements who are engaged. And human and sexual trafficking, Brittany, is a really huge scourge that is very widespread in the United States and around the world. And allowing it to continue and not making a very significant example of the perpetrators of these crimes is an outrage, and allows millions of other young women and young men, frankly, to be victims again, to be victims in the future. Because this sends a strong message. The government of the United States of America, to the highest office in the land, the President of the United States, has no regard for the fact that over 1,000 young women were victimized and sexually assaulted through a network run by Jeffrey Epstein, a close friend of the President of the United States. And there is a way to open these investigations and allow for accountability, but they're refusing because it's obvious that they are trying to cover up where this might actually lead.
I do now want to totally switch gears and just pick your brain a little bit on some breaking news from yesterday, and that is that Kristi Noem was officially fired from her
Yeah.
position as DHS secretary. She's out after a controversial tenure. What do you make of that firing?
Well, it's about time, long overdue. She never should have become the Secretary of Homeland Security in the first place. She was wholly unqualified for the job. That is one of the largest agencies in the federal government. She abused her power. She was responsible for revoking the temporary protective status of Venezuelans, Haitians, the protective status of folks from Ukraine who are here. This is someone who spent $600,000 building a immigration detention center in the middle of the Everglades, a heinous place that abusive practices have been committed against undocumented immigrants. Someone who said, like Donald Trump, that they were going to go after the worst of the worst criminals, presided over the murder and then called them domestic terrorists of two people who were doing nothing more than exercising their First Amendment rights in Minnesota. She is part of a large part of the reason. She and Donald Trump are the reason that ICE is out of control and needs to be reined in. And it's good that she's gone. Unfortunately, her successor is likely to just continue Donald Trump's really heinous, abusive practices. I hope for progress, but I am not optimistic.
Her successor is Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. He served in Congress, so he was your colleague at a time. You're not too confident, is what you sounded like. Why not? Talk to us about that pick.
Well, I have a good relationship with Mark Wayne Mullen, but unfortunately, what I've seen so far during Donald Trump's second term is that he really has just fallen in lockstep with the president's agenda, and appears that he's, as a senator, been really willing to do his bidding. And I can't imagine Donald Trump would bring on anyone as the Secretary of DHS that wouldn't be willing to continue to just fall in line. I'm happy to be surprised, but from what I've seen out of Senator Mullen, he has pretty clearly walked in lockstep with Donald Trump and not pushed back on the heinous abusive practices of ICE. Look, all we have to do with ICE is follow the law and the Constitution. I mean, and maybe keep your word. Go after the worst of the worst. As I've told you every interview we've done on this topic, I am absolutely supportive of deporting criminals. If you've committed a crime in the United States and you've abused the privilege of being here, or you're an undocumented immigrant and you were trying to find some kind of lawful pathway to be here, then bye-bye. But the DHS's own statistics show that only 14% of those that have been detained and deported had any kind of a criminal record. I mean, that has to change. It also has to be that ICE takes the mask off. You have the right to face your accuser in the United States, wears identification, engages in due process, seeks judicial warrants. You can't just expect that someone's going to barrel your door down in the United States. We have a prohibition against illegal search and seizure. That applies to everyone, not just citizens. And they need to compromise with and work with us as Democrats and Republicans to get DHS reopened and make sure that ICE is brought under control and under the law.
Congresswoman, I really appreciate the time today. I appreciate your perspective. Thank you so much for joining me, and until next time.
Thanks a lot. Great to be with you, Bridget. Thank you. Take care.